Shalom Israel. First, I want to give all praise, glory, honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Al-Shah, Ba'ashem Gakudash. I want to keep us as we are Millstone, peace and citation to one-third of Israel. For this lesson, I want to title it, The Lord's Dealing with the Underdogs. Alright, or my title, The Underdog Story, something like that. But basically, just going into how, the elect are the underdogs of the story. Alright, beginning with Yahweh Shah. Because this world counts, in an underdog story. What does the world do? It counts the underdogs out, those that are the least expected to attain something, to be on top. But guess what? The Lord, he's about to switch everything around. He's about to flip everything right side up. All right, because us as Israelites, Lord willing, we part of the elect, but us as Israelites, we're supposed to be on top, but we sin, and the Lord, he brought us down, and he had the basis of men, and he has the basis of men ruling over us. But soon we about to be liberated. All right, Lord willing, we part of the elect, but ultimately this devil's going down. All right, but I'm gonna read Psalms 37, and start at 1. It says, "Fear not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity." All right, and who's the workers of iniquity? It starts with Esau, Edom. Malachi 1:4, the borders of wickedness. All right, Esau, Edom, he's the wicked himself. All right, and iniquity is sin upon sin. So wickedness. It says, "For they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as a green herb." All right, and that's what we're about to witness. We're about to witness the destruction of this devil. All right, and you see, this man's kingdom is falling down. And you got all these other nations thinking that they're gonna be next up, but they rule the underdogs out. The underdogs are the elect. Beginning with Yahushua, King David on down. All right. To prove that, let me get let me go to Psalms 1, or I think it's Psalms 2. There you go. Psalms 2 and 1. It says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves in the council, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision." All right, because ultimately these heathen nations are conspiring against Israel to basically cut us off from being a nation. You can read that in Psalms 83rd chapter. All these nations conspire against Israel to, so we can be cut off ultimately. All right. I just repeated the same thing, but you know what I'm trying to say. But it says the third or fourth verse is, "He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision." All right, because ultimately the Lord is going to disarray their plans. All right, and their plans is the NWO, and that NWO, is trying to eradicate Israel. All right, because they ultimately want that birthright. They want that birthright, that blessing back. That's all it goes down to. But they you snooze, you lose, Esau. You sold it fair and square. Now deal with the repercussions. All right. And it's funny because they try to call Gad an Indian giver, but this man Esau, this nigga, how you can't eat your cake and eat ours too. Like, nigga, you chose what cake you wanted, and you got it, and now you got to pay the price for it. All right. Nigga trying to eat free food and run off on the tab. But nah, it don't work like that, buddy. But let me keep reading. It says, "Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sword's pleasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion." Who's that? See how it says, "I will declare the decree. The Lord has said unto me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. All right. And right now, Esau Edom's ruling. Job 9-24. All right. But there's going to be a transition period where, as I'm about to get, but I'll just quote it right now. It says, "The meek shall inherit the earth." When is that going to happen? It's going to happen soon. Daniel 7, the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom in possession forever, even forever and ever. All right. So when Yahushua comes down, he's going to liberate us. All right. And then we going to conquer the earth. All right. Lord willing. I say Lord willing, because it's already written, but Lord willing, we be partakers of that. But it says, thou shalt break them with the rod of iron. Who's that? The heathen. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. You can read that in Revelation 2:26. It says, okay, yeah, I'll just end it on there. But let me go to Psalms 37, and let me skip down to 7. It says, "Rest in the Lord, and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass." All right, and what is Esau doing? Look at all these devices Esau has brought to pass. Everyone everyone ultimately hates this nigga. You can read Habakkuk the 2nd chapter. Isaiah 14 chapter goes into how basically when this nigga gets taken down, the whole earth is gonna be at rest. All right, and we're just waiting for that power, and that power is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. We're gonna take this devil down. You read Zephaniah the 3rd chapter. "Wait ye upon me till the day that I rise up to the prey." Roughly paraphrasing. But it says, "Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil." And you read Revelation 13 and 9. It says, or no, Revelation 13 and 10. It says, "He that it says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword." And here's the point. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. So that's what we're patiently waiting for. We waiting for vengeance. All right. And the whole world, it's funny because, in Underdog, people count underdogs out. They count us out. We're being, weird, strange, blah, blah, blah. But that's really to the commoner. All right, because these top wicked elites, they know what's up. That's why they're so scared. You can read Revelation 11 chapter. Great fear fell upon them. Not great fear. Basically, hold on, I'm gonna get it, Lord willing. Slurp. All right, come on. Yeah, let me get it right quick. Revelation 11. Revelation 11 and 11. It says, "And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them." And that's talking about basically the awakening of Jake. Because 3 days and a half. Trying to remember, that goes into hold on, let me get it. Go back upon it. But it basically started when with Elder High Priest Abba Bivens, when this truth came out, and that's the spirit of life. It says, "After 3 days and a half, spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet." And that's what we're doing right now. You can read Ezekiel the 37th chapter. Basically the bones coming together. The sinews. Basically this word forming us again. Hold up, I want to get. I don't want to butcher it. Ezekiel 37. Valley of dry bones. All right, this is Ezekiel 37:1. It says well, let me just skip down to the point. 37:4. It says, again he said to me, prophesy unto these bones, and that's Jake, And the second verse talking about the valley, the open valley that's here in Babylon, Jake dead from the neck up. He that wandereth out of the congregation of dead, he that wandereth out of the congregation. Oh my gosh, I'm not butchering, bro. He that wandereth out of the congregation. There you go. It's locked. Proverbs 21:16, it says, the man that wandered out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So if you don't have this truth, you're dead from the neck up. You're dry bones. You have no life to you. All right, now it's us, before we got this truth. But that's why, these top wicked elites are scared, because, what they've been trying to hide from us, which is our identity, it failed, because, the Lord, he put that spirit out there. The truth, the cat is out of the bag. This truth is reaching, throughout the whole world. All right. And Jacob's waking up, and these top wicked elites are scared. All right. But let me keep reading. The 9th verse, it says, Psalms 37:9. It says, for evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. And who's waiting upon the Lord? The elect, Lord willing, that's us, the hopeful elect. We waiting for Yahushua to come and destroy this place. All right, so he can redeem us, and we can conquer the earth and live in paradise. All right, and live in paradise, is the kingdom of heaven is going to be on earth. Matthew the 6th chapter. All right, let thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's a part of the Lord's Prayer. But it says, for yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. All right, and yet for a little while, we at the end of this damn devil's rulership. All right, and after this, he's not going to be in power ever again. And that's going to be the best thing ever, because all this nigga has done is just be a demon. All right, but it says, but the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. All right. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. And that's what the wicked do. Beginning with the top wicked elites. They plot against the just. Who are the just? The Israelites. All right. Beginning with the elect. All right. Because, the Lord is going to allow Esau to get 2/3 of these niggas. All right. But the Lord is not going to let Esau, get his elect, It says, and I said, because, you're going to have some martyrs, but, an elect member is not going to go out like a 2/3, But it says, the Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bow shall be broken. All right, so ultimately, this devil, it's all gonna backfire on him, and he's gonna have to lay in that trap that he set out, right? And he's gonna be destroyed ultimately. All right, but let me go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, because going back to the Underdog story, hey, these people count the elect out, but it's okay though, because the elect are not of this world, even as Yahushua is not of this world. So therefore, they can't see it, but they going to see it. All right, Wisdom of Solomon 5:1, it says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and have made no count of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. All right, and then it's going to be all so far beyond all that they look for. All right, it's going to be beyond their imagination. Like, they're going to be like, what? And they're going to be in fear, but they're going to have no choice but to admit that the Lord is dealing with the elect. as I'm about to read. It says, and they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach. So you got niggas talking shit, this, that, and third, I know Elder Manatazak from GMS South Carolina. He makes videos of a bunch of monkeys talking shit about the Hebrew Israelites, even though they themselves are Hebrew Israelites. And that's why Jake gotta go. Fuck Jake. All right. But it says, we fools account his life madness and his end to be without honor. So basically, we counted them out, and that's the underdog story, But it's a thing about waiting, all right? Because we understand what's written. Lord willing, like I said, we part of the elect. We understand what's written. We understand, what entails, serving the Lord. All right. Yeah, you're gonna be brought low, but guess what? At the end of the day, the Lord's gonna exalt his elect. All right. Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter says, I will give him praise and fame in all the lands where they have been put to shame. Are we not what's a proverb and a byword everywhere? Are we not the scum of the earth to these people? All right. Well, guess what? The Lord, he's about to turn all this upside down. All right. But that's the patience and the faith of it. Understand that at the end of the day, the underdogs are gonna win. Not these people. So these niggas in the world, they can have this shit, because this shit gonna fall. All right. We hope to be rulers in the next world to come. All right. It says how is he numbered among the children of the Most High, and his lot is among the saints. Therefore have we erred from the way of truth, and the light of righteousness had not shone the light of righteousness had not shined unto us, and the sun of righteousness rose not upon us. We wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. Yea, we have gone through deserts where there lay no way, but as for the way of the Lord, we have not known it. What had pride profited us, or what had good riches will our vaunting brought us? All right, and that's what they base themselves on. The substance of what they have. Oh, I drive this, I live in this, blah blah blah. But none of that shit's gonna matter. What's gonna matter in that day is if the Lord is dealing with you, and if the Lord ain't dealing with you, you're fucked. Simple. It says all those things are passed away like a shadow, and as a post that hasted by. All right, so ultimately, this world's gonna pass away. All right. Hold up. Okay, yeah, let me read 15 and 16 on it off. It says, but the righteous live forevermore. Their reward also is with the Lord, and the care of them is with the Most High. It says, therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown from the Lord's hand. For with his right hand shall he cover them, and with his arm shall he protect them. All right, so ultimately, the underdogs, the underdogs win at the end of the day, and that's whom we hope to be. All right, so, yeah, we on the bottom right now, but everything's going to flip. All right. So Matthew 19 and 30, it says, but many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. All right, so, hey, Lord willing, we part of the elect. We got to endure and keep pushing, because our lives are about to change. All right, the Lord, he's about to liberate us, and we about to be on top. All right, but we gotta endure. So with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and well said. I want to give all praise, glory, honor to Yahweh.